So welcome to Faces of First Atlanta. Today's September 10th. I'm here with Miss Cindy Young. And you got a fun story around this time of year, right?
I do, Brett.
Yeah.
So Brett and I were just sitting here chit-chatting before we were going to begin. And I said, okay, what's the first question you're going to ask me? He said, oh, no, let's just talk about, I can't believe it's already
September.
And I went, yeah, tomorrow's a pretty big day, September 11th. So I actually was about to give birth this time.
Wow.
19 years ago. And my baby is 19 years tomorrow.
19 years tomorrow.
19 years old. So I was one that was in the hospital, and when everything happened, I brought in light to the world.
There you go.
So his name is Luke. And without even knowing what Luke meant when we named him, it actually means light bearer.
Oh, wow.
And so I always say that on the darkest day of America, light came into the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story. Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, going, I can't believe it's already September.
Yeah.
The interesting parts of 2020, and here we are, right?
Yeah.
So enough of September. I want to hear about you.
Okay.
And I want to hear about your business, and I want to hear about your life, and I want to hear any nuggets that we might glean from your journey that might help some other people in their journey or relate, or patterns of success, or whatever our conversation comes to. So I'd like to just kind of start with before real estate. Like, tell me who Cindy is and your journey, and give me the highlights.
So that would be a long story.
No.
So I'll condense it. Born and raised in Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio, Centerville suburb. I've been married to my college sweetheart in September. Actually, September 19th will be 33 years.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting. We have 5 boys, ages 19. So my baby is 19, all the way to 32.
Okay.
And we got married in 87. We moved down to Dalton, which is the carpet world, of course.
Yeah.
So he's been with his company for 33 years. And I was...
Is he in the carpet?
Shaw Industries,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
For 17 years.
Okay.
Raising boys, and my husband traveled. He traveled 90% of his job. He would wake up on Monday morning and leave on Thursday. Or return on Thursday. So I was everything. I was carpool mom, soccer mom, basketball mom, football mom, everything with 5 boys you can imagine. And we chose, so what kind of led me into real estate, so we'll kind of fast forward and move into how I am here today, is we chose to have our kids in a private school.
Okay.
And 5 boys in a private school is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. No matter who you are, 5 in a private school is a lot of money.
My hopes and dreams of being that stay-at-home mom and doing everything that I could for the kids, and volunteering and everything. True story. We moved from Kennesaw. This is pre-real estate.
Okay.
So this would have been 2000. I think I got in business in 2005. So this would have been 2000, I think, in 4. We sold a house in Kennesaw that was 5,000 square feet. So we had a big house in Kennesaw, and we sold our home and we moved to Sandy Springs.
Okay.
So this big house turned into this little teeny tiny house.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how real estate
And all
worked.
5 boys were still in the house.
And all 5 boys at that point in time. So with the new location, all the boys in school, everything, Sandy Springs is a lot more expensive than Kennesaw. We moved in May of 2004, and in January of 2005, this is a true story. My husband rolls over in bed one day and he goes, babe, this thing we have going on is great, but if you want to continue to have the boys in private school and doing, what we do, you need to get a job.
Okay.
He goes, we've been in the red every month.
Okay. So the weight of the world's on him.
Yeah.
He just basically looks at you and says, hey, we love our life, but if we want to keep it,
I need help.
And
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because I didn't do the books. I really didn't. That was his job, paycheck. I kind of spent the money.
Yeah.
So what is someone who has been at home for 17 years, raising 5 boys, and now has to enter a career world? What do I do?
Yeah.
Now, backtrack that. I wasn't just staying at home for 17 years.
Yeah.
So I was running a 300-person women's organization.
Okay.
I was also traveling the world and speaking. It was a nonprofit organization. It was all on leadership. It was all on how to volunteer. It was service to the underprivileged. It was all about how we can serve others.
Nonprofit.
It was a nonprofit.
Which is a business, just doesn't make any profit.
I wasn't getting paid. I was a volunteer.
Yeah.
And I was devoting probably 40 hours a week just to that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But not getting paid. And, we kind of joke about it. He said, okay, been working for the church for so long without getting any money. Can you take all those skills and transition it into something that can bring the income in?
Yeah.
So I had a great friend who was actually a realtor here.
Okay.
And I called her up and I'm like, I got to go to work. And she's like, well, you work all the time. I said, no, I got to go make money. Like, I got to get a job that actually pays me.
A real job.
Yeah. She said, okay, so what do you want to do? Name your perfect job.
Yeah.
So Brett, I thought, okay, 3 things.
Yeah.
Number 1.
I'm writing these down.
Number 1.
Yep.
I want to be my own boss.
Okay.
I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. Ask my husband. I don't even like him to tell me what to do. I said, so I want to be my own boss.
Okay.
I need to be able to control my own schedule.
Okay.
I have a husband who travels. He's not home Monday to Thursday. I have 5 kids in sports, and I need to be able to drop them off at school and pick them up at 3 and run to all of their games and then be able to control that schedule.
Yeah.
And I said, but most importantly, the most important thing is I need a job that doesn't put a ceiling on my income.
Okay.
I need a job that I can get paid in direct proportion to as hard as I work, and whatever I put into it, I can get rewarded.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she goes, Cindy, you're a real estate agent.
Okay.
And I went, really?
And bless her heart for saying that at that time, right?
Yeah. I went, really? And she said, yeah.
So you didn't even have real estate in your head.
No, I didn't.
She was just a friend.
She was a friend who was here
Yeah.
as a realtor, who, when I joined, she actually quit.
Okay.
She hated it. But she was a friend who was here. She knew me very well. She knew what I did for the nonprofit. And she's like, your skills can transition very easily into real estate.
Awesome.
And with my criteria,
it's
not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a corporate job. It is, you have to be an entrepreneur. You need to be your own boss.
Right.
And it totally fit. So when I make my mind up to do something, I go right at it.
Right.
It's January 7th, I think it was. I signed up and took the real estate course, Barney Fletcher School of Real Estate.
Yeah.
I went 8 to 5.
This was 04.
All in. This is 05.
05.
January of 05. Finished that course January 24th. Studied for 3 weeks. I'm a slow learner. I studied for 3 weeks to take that state exam because I don't like. You
don't want to have a bad grade.
I was freaked out. So I studied for 3 weeks for that. Was going to take the crash course with Tripp Anderson, who I love and adore, until it snowed it out. So I studied another 2 weeks, freaking out, thinking I'm never going to be able to pass. Anyhow, I finally took the state exam February 24th, and I walked in here on March the 7th, holding my license. I had no clue. I literally walked in the front door.
In
2005, asked to speak to the managing broker, which was Sean Rawls at the time.
Yeah.
And said, hi, I'm Cindy Young, just got my license, and I'm joining your office. He said, well, come on in.
Yeah.
So I think he's like, who are you? So we went into the office next door. We sat down. I told him why I'm here. I want to sell real estate. I need to make a ton of money. I have 5 kids that we need to pay for. And how do I start?
And off we went.
Okay. March 7, 2005.
Okay. So that puts you
15 years.
15 and a half years in the industry this month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else about your background that would be noteworthy to point out? You grew up, what were your dreams growing up?
It's kind of funny. My dreams really were to have 5 kids.
Okay. So you wanted to be mom.
I wanted to be married. I wanted to be mom. I wanted to have a large family. I come from a small family. There's 3 of us. I'm adopted.
Okay.
And so one of my dreams was I wanted a lot of I didn't have a lot of siblings. My sister actually passed away when she was young. She was 29. Oh, wow. So I lost my sister. So then I just had my brother who was 4 years older than me. And there was something about being adopted that I actually felt disconnected. Okay. A little bit. And so one of my dreams was to find my birth family, and I have.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I've been reconnected with my birth mom and my birth father. So all of that is awesome. The second thing was to have a large family. Yeah. And I met a husband who was one of 6 who wanted a large family. As far as dreams I'm a faithful person. I just wanted to do wherever God directed me to. Okay. So he's always kind of led my path and journey. I get up every morning and I meditate. I have a spiritual routine and a morning routine. My husband and I both do. So he's always kind of led my journey. Yeah. And I never thought I'd be in real estate.
Okay. I get that. That's why I'm trying to dig a little bit.
No, I never did. But if I look back to how I was as a child, I was the ringleader. Right. I lived in a cul-de-sac that had 10 homes around it. There were probably maybe 15 kids. And I was the one who was always in charge. I was the one who was always planning everything, strategizing everything, figuring things out, getting everybody motivated. Sure. And it was interesting because when I was in grade school, I was always the president of the class. Or I was always the person that was the star of the show, whatever it was.
Was it because you wanted to always be that, or just by default, it was who you were?
I can't help myself. Okay. I naturally I step into those roles. Okay. I love to lead. Yeah. I don't know.
It's naturally who you are. I remember watching, this has been years, Mo Anderson talking about the first time somebody took her through a behavioral profile. Mm-hmm. And she had the same kind of comments you're making to me right now. Is I was always naturally in a leadership role. Mm-hmm. But to her comment, her generation, she felt actually ashamed of being a female and always wanting to be dominant and that kind of thing. Right. And she said when somebody took her through that behavioral profile, it actually kind of gave her some relief, like, that's who I am. And I'm hearing that a little bit in your story, not the that part, but it's naturally who you are as a leader, and you just gravitate towards those roles.
I kind of look at it as giving. So I had come from a philosophy that you have your palms clenched and you're holding on very tight to things, where you have open palms and you let what you have flow. And so for me, it was, even though maybe we can say it was leadership, it was, how can I help you? Yeah. How can I serve you? Because that's what my background in the church nonprofit was service. Yeah. So when I transitioned into real estate, it was more of how can I serve these people in front of me? We're helping them make one of the most important decisions financially, maybe, and a very large decision in their life. Right. And so it has to be all about them. It cannot be our goals or what we want. Yeah. And so so I kind of looked at it as, how can I serve them?
No, you say that, but not everybody has that same philosophy. But right. I call it the DNA of leadership, right? Is at some point in your life, you sign up to say, I'm going to make my life about others and not about me, trusting that my life will be taken care of through that process, right? Yeah. So I love hearing that about you. Thank you so much. You. So you get into real estate. 2005. Yep. The market's hot in 2005. It is. First year was living good. In Sandy Springs. You got 5 school-aged kids. Yep. How'd you do it?
By the grace of God.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. Yeah. And it's funny because people will say, oh my gosh, you have 5 kids, your husband's at home, how did you do it? Part of me is, the older I get, I don't remember how I did it. I think we live in the moment and we just do it. So a couple of things. I think God gives us a plate and, everything kind of gets pushed on it and, you're managing what's on your plate. And then he piles more on. Well, it's not falling off. God just gave me a bigger plate.
Got it.
And so I'm a very disciplined person. With 5 boys, it was,
Here's our schedule.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, my boys laugh about it today, Brett. So we have a saying, you can ask my 32-year-old, I know, Mom, a successful morning begins with the preparation the night before.
Yeah.
And I would literally say that to the boys, okay, a successful morning is going to be that we prepare tonight. So book bags by the door, shoes by the door, lunches all made, uniforms all laid out.
Yeah.
I was taking care of them and making sure that everything was in order, because when I first started real estate, my youngest was 3.
Okay. So
I had from 9 when I dropped them off in the morning until 2 in the afternoon.
Get it all done.
That was it.
Yeah.
And I told Sean, I said, this is all the hours I have. And what I would do is I would come in here, I would put my head down, and I would hyper focus for those short amount of hours.
Yeah. That's
all the time that God gave me to work. Then I have to use it to the best of my ability.
Yep. And it's interesting you say that, because there's an author, Tim Ferriss, who's actually going to be featured at our mega camp, writes this book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And he says, corporate America kind of defined the 8-hour workday, the 9 to 5, and that whole definition of that. And he said, but if you really looked at it, we're probably only working maybe 1 or 2 hours of that 8-hour period, and we're just filling the time because we're told we're supposed to.
Right.
But if you understand that concept and you apply it to your life, if you are hyper focused, you can get enormous amounts of things accomplished in a short amount of time, as long as you understand the discipline, how to bring that hyper focus to the table. And I think that's a success trait of yours, is how to hyper focus if you need to.
I do. I think agents can, to your point, Brett, I used to say I could get everything done for lead gen, follow-up calls, being proactive, working on the business and not in the business, putting out fires, in 3 hours. And that's with the door closed, head down, and super focused, alerts turned off on my computer, alerts turned off on my phone, not starting with the distractions of news or Facebook in the morning, but really focusing that I'm going to spend time strictly on real estate, because we're at our best in the morning.
I agree.
That's when we're their best.
So I'm going to challenge you here for a minute, because we've been teaching this since the beginning of time. You should spend 3 hours a day on your lead generation or your top 20% activities. And I think everybody thinks that is maybe I shouldn't say it that way. I think a large group of people think that we're just saying that in rhetoric, or we're saying that because that's what the book says to say, or whatever. However, you're the proof to that whole concept here. Is you showed up, you spent your 3 hours a day on the 20% activities that you were supposed to spend your time on, and you created the most amazing, thriving career in probably a third of the amount of time that most people took, just because you did that hyper focus.
Out of necessity.
Out of necessity. I'm giving you, take the compliment. I'm giving you a compliment, because out of necessity, yet you still could have chosen not to do
I still could have chosen not to, but that's who I am. And I believe, look, we're all given the same amount of time.
Right.
And it's really how you choose to use your time. And not people make excuses.
Okay.
For not using their time wisely.
Sure.
And I believe if you have a business plan and you're completely focused and you know what your activities are that day. So Sunday night is I open up my calendar.
Yeah.
Because as much as I joked with my boys, and it was really a fact, a successful night begins the night before. A successful week begins at the beginning of the week, which is Sunday night.
Yeah.
I've switched to Fridays now because I kind of want my weekends to be, I've earned my weekends back.
Yeah.
By how hard I've worked and how I've leveraged myself. I put my time in, and that's the other thing. Agents have to put your time in. Everybody wants it now, fast, furious, I want to be successful right now. Well, it's not success overnight. It's not a one-hit wonder because it's, or a one-year wonder, because if you have a one-hit wonder or a one-year wonder, it's gone. It's those skills that you develop, that you work hard on yourself, that you slowly implement, and time over time over time over time, with consistency over consistency, doing the same thing every single day, is what leads to a huge business, because it's that,
of course,
it just builds.
Time on task over time.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it's part of the journey of mastery anyway. Mm-hmm. You get better as you go on that journey, right?
Yeah. So let me real quick. So I've earned my weekends back. I wrote that down. Many years. And I've really only earned them back, I would say, in the last 5 years. So it took me 10 years of holding open houses and having buyers on weekends and all of that. And telling my husband, look, we made this choice, and mom's got to work, and X, Y, and Z. And if I invest myself now and build this business, there is going to be time that I will have the leverage, that I don't have to work weekends. I don't hold my open houses now.
Right.
And I don't show houses on weekends. I hire showing partners.
Right.
So I'm able to leverage myself out and buy my time back. So that starts with my Friday night or Sunday night, whatever I choose, to plan my week. Because a successful week is not waking up Monday morning and going, who am I going to call today? Oh, who am I going to pop by and say hello to? Oh, what listing do I have? It is planning Friday night or Sunday night of all the people I'm going to talk to and all the people I'm going to see, and checking in with my appointments and what listings do I need to, and it is writing that plan out that night so that when I hit the ground Monday, I'm going to have a great week. Yeah.
You take the decision tree out of it. And we tend to negotiate with ourselves if we're given that opportunity. Do I really need to go walk the dog today? Do I really need to order healthy on a menu? Do I really need to be at the office on time or early? Do I really need to make these phone calls? Mm-hmm. And if you remove all those decisions out of your life by planning the night before, you never putting yourself in a position to negotiate with yourself.
Right.
And it just keeps you focused. And the word popping in my head is rigid, but it's not rigid. It's purposeful. It's scheduled. It's disciplined. Mm-hmm. It's definitely one of your success traits.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've had this crazy, awesome, fun journey in real estate over 15 years. What are some of the highs of your career and some of the lows?
So it has lows and it has highs.
Yes, of course. Let's be honest.
Everybody does. Everyone does. I think in the beginning, the biggest low for me was loneliness. I feel that being an agent, I'm an individual agent, always been an individual agent. Uh-huh. I don't really want to build a big team.
Yep.
I don't really want to have a team right now. I think as I get older and I choose to transition out of the business, I'll never really be completely out, but it's called the golden handoff. Mm-hmm. I will start building a team to do it that way. But at first it was loneliness, and it was because, everyone does have their head down and they are working on their business and they're trying to figure it out. And when you're a newbie, so a brand new agent, it's like, I'm kind of alone in this world. What do I do? And so to overcome that, true story, the first probably 3 months I was here, I walked the office and I tried to find out who the superstars were.
Okay.
And there were three ladies here. Kimberly Edmondson, who's actually with a different company right now.
Yeah.
Xana Dillard. Uh-huh. And Kelly Day, who's still here.
Yeah.
And I knocked on their doors and I just said, hey, I'm Cindy Young and I'm brand new. And when I grow up, I want to be you. I said, can I buy you lunch? Can I buy you a cup of coffee?
Perfect.
How and all three, and I'm all still great friends with them today, literally said, sure, handed me everything. And it was a learning curve that went like this.
Wow.
And I dove into all their materials. My loneliness, when I learned that it wasn't about loneliness, it was about, I needed to network and I needed colleagues. I needed that camaraderie and I needed accountability.
You needed to be brave enough to ask in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because one of the things we are proud of is this team culture, right? But the downside of the team culture is the people up here don't go around saying, "Hey, let me pour into you."
Right.
But they're happy to share when asked,
Right.
right? And I think you learned that early on.
I did. And I learned also that, people just want to be asked.
Yeah.
Just to your point. And if you ask, they'll give.
That's awesome.
The second low point was when I was in the very beginning. I kind of was that closet agent. I wasn't sure if I wanted my friends to know.
Of course.
That, I mean, this is just classic.
I'm gonna sell real estate to everybody. I don't know.
I don't know. So classic newbie. So if anyone is feeling this way, like we've all been there. So I didn't want my friends to think, oh great, Cindy Young's now in real estate and she's only my friend because she wants me to buy or sell a home with her. So it's that fine line and delicate line that you try to balance. And so I just sort of went, okay, I'm not going to talk to my friends. Big mistake. I'm going to call expireds. Nothing wrong with calling expireds. But when I decide to do something, I go all in. So I had an office here that had no windows, just had a door. I would come in, I would close the door, I'd lower my shade because don't bother me when I'm prospecting. I literally had a sign on the door that said, don't ever think about knocking, nobody come in, yes, don't bother me. Put my head down and called expireds. Reason why I say this is a low point in my life is because it was hard.
Yeah.
It was not rewarding for me.
Okay.
It was the other person on the other end of the line was either mad or yelling or screaming. So I was not, there were many agents out there who are skilled at that and can convert those calls. That was not my skill set.
It probably pulled energy from you instead of giving you
energy.
Oh
my gosh, Brett. I would literally, true story, I remember one time I literally put my head on my desk and I started to cry. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this torture? Because my nature is, Mr. Seller, I just want to help you.
Yeah.
You had a bad agent. You had an agent that couldn't get it done.
Right.
Or you didn't have the right price. I'm here to help. Why are you yelling at me? So that was a really low part of my life where I questioned what I was doing and why I was doing it. And maybe I'm not even good at this. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe my skin isn't thick enough.
Sure.
Because I'm also a person, I'm transparent, who wants to be liked.
Yeah.
And if you tell me
you're a relationship person.
Yeah, and if you tell me you don't like me, you don't want to hang out with me, or you don't want me to sell your house, I'm like, I take it personally.
Yeah.
So
that was kryptonite.
That was it is. Yeah. That was a really hard period of time. And I'm going to tell you how I got out of that. And then the third low point in my life.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting you bring that up because there's a lot of ways to succeed in real estate. And one of the gifts of great leadership is to be able to help people find their way to succeed in this industry, right? And whether you're a relationship-based person or a marketing guru or a sales scripts and dialogues, expired FISBOs, it's not right for everybody. And if you find yourself in one of those avenues like you did, it shouldn't be tear you down. You should just go find your way to succeed over here that's in your God gift basket of talents, if you will.
And I got out of that hole. So
got it.
I'll tell you how
I
got out of that hole. My third low point. So I had 3 low points in my career. My third low point was really the crash.
Okay.
And was interesting enough, I actually had a very successful year in 2009.
Okay.
Best year ever in 2009. So part of that crash. The reason why I say the crash was the low point, because I am a relational person and because I want to help people, they were the hardest conversations I've ever had in my career. I mean, I could cry thinking about some of the people where we're sitting at the table and the husband's lost their job. The wife never had a job. Their home, they're going to lose. It's turned up. I'm bringing bad news. It's the value's not there. And we're having to make really tough decisions. And so I did short sales.
And you care about them.
And I cared about them. And I did, I don't know how many, I did lots of short sales. Got trained, did the whole thing. Hardest probably, I don't know how many years, 4 years of our entire careers.
It didn't clean up probably till 2011. Yeah.
So a good 3 years.
I was fully expecting this pandemic to create a lot of that. And I feel the country's a little bit blessed at the moment. We're not hearing hundreds of stories of you sitting at a kitchen table of people that have lost their jobs or their house is underwater or anything like that. So in one sentence, there's a blessing that we're not dealing with that. But the professional in all of us should say, hey, we got to be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
And even though it was a low point in your career, you still found your way to thrive, even though it was hard on the heart, right?
Right. It was. That's a great point. That's a good perspective. It was very hard on my heart.
Yeah. But that's because you're a people person.
I know.
All right. So what else? Give me something else. Highs and lows.
So highs in my career. So how did I get out of my funk?
Yeah.
I was, colon expired, not super happy and things like that. So I have a colleague who we're great friends. She's an accountability partner of mine. And in 2014, she introduced me to this program called Working by Referral. She goes, Cindy, you just need to work by referral. I'm like, what do you mean work by referral? She said, well, all the people who know, love, and trust you, they're the ones you should be calling. They're the ones that you should be. So I took a training course on how to work by referral. And it rocked my world. It changed my life. And I tripled my business in 3 years. And what I learned is that agents do think you have to work an 8-hour day.
Yeah, of course.
Or they're not successful. And what I learned is that, again, if I took my hyper focus and I applied it to these principles, all I do, Brett, I think that as agents at time, we overcomplicate the business.
Yep.
I think that sometimes we get distracted by all the bells and whistles and shiny things and all the tools that are out there. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to simplify it for myself, figure out what worked well, and then not deviate and let it
work the plan.
Compound, yes. Yeah. So I make calls every morning. I write handwritten notes.
Is this today?
This is today. So I started this
and how long ago?
2014, I went all in.
Okay, so 6 years you've been doing this. Okay.
Calls every morning, handwritten notes.
What's that call sound like? You call me, you say,
I'm calling you and said, hey, Brett, this is Cindy Young.
How are you?
Good. Hey, just calling to check in. Tell me what's going on with your family. We're in these crazy times, and I know that the kids are probably homeschooling. I'm making this up, of course. So tell me what's going on in your
Not a lot. I walk the dog a lot.
I don't have a dog, so I can empathize with you.
I'm kidding.
Tell me about your wife. What's going on with her?
So you're going into my family.
Ford.
You're doing the Ford technique. Family, occupation, recreational, and dreams.
And you always get to, well, Cindy, how's the real estate market?
Of course.
So I know what the comps are in their neighborhood. I know what, when they purchase with me, I'll come with, maybe they should consider to refi.
Yeah.
I've looked on Facebook to see what's going on in their little worlds. I have a little tidbit.
Yeah.
So I make calls. So I have a business model. I'll be transparent. So this year, my business goal is 15 million.
How many units is that?
40.
40. Okay.
So last year, with that, it has an algorithm based on past experience.
Yeah.
So for me to hit 15 million this year, I have to make 36 calls a week.
Okay.
That's not that much.
No.
Break it down in 5 days.
Yeah.
So 36 calls a week, 10 handwritten notes a week. That's 2 a day.
Yeah.
Not an overachiever. So as soon as I get done with a phone call, I'm writing you a handwritten note. My CRM pops up and it tells me who I'm calling that day, all my notes, about them, what handwritten notes I need to write, who I need to touch.
Yep. It's all organized.
It's completely. So calls, notes, my third leg to my stool is pop buys.
Okay.
So I pop by someone's home. COVID's been a little different. It's been harder. So we're going to take this year kind of out of it.
Yeah.
But for the last, since 2014, each month my assistant would make something. I have to do 38 pop buys a month.
Okay.
Okay. So basically it's popping by your home, knocking on the door. It's doing this. Say it's just something little.
Yeah.
But it's more about, I thought of you.
Yeah.
I'm connected to you.
Yep.
I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you. What's going on in your world?
Yeah.
So it's that the calls, the notes, the pop-bys, we call it the layering effect. And now when they think of real estate, they're going to think of me.
Yep.
And they're going to refer me because everything I send out says, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals.
Yeah.
Every conversation that I have when I'm done, it's like, hey, Brett, when you think of real estate, I'm always here to help serve you.
Absolutely.
And so it's that layering effect, time over time, year after year, right?
Right.
And then the fourth piece I do is client appreciation parties and client appreciation events, and I hold 4 to 5 of those per year. And it's ever since I started doing this, I went from the person that was in the office, head down, calling expireds, getting beat up, because that was not for me. I'm more of a I need to be out there person, to hosting events, speaking with people, taking my weekends off, and having fun. The last 5 to 6 years, I've had the most fun in real estate, the most success in real estate, and I love what I do, and I'm passionate about it.
I love it. I love it. A couple things I hear in you when you're doing the prospecting calls. I call it the psychology of a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. So if you call me and you're asking me questions about my family, my occupation, my recreation, my dreams, subconsciously I realize that the balance of conversation is off balance because I'm talking a lot. Mm-hmm. And naturally I'm going to ask you, hey, Cindy, how's the real estate industry? Mm-hmm. Because I realize I'm talking too much. Mm-hmm. And it gives you that opportunity to tell me without having to sell me on anything. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I think I'm reading between the lines, but I'm thinking you're following a Brian Buffini model.
I am.
6 years ago.
Yes.
And it doesn't sound like you've deviated a whole lot from it.
I haven't.
One of my questions, though, is how important is the organization of your business inside a CRM?
How important is it?
Yes.
Majorly important.
I mean, could you do it without it?
No.
So I think
everybody should have a CRM, no matter what CRM they're using.
Yeah.
Unless you have a tool that pops up in the morning and that you're looking at and that is telling you, it runs my business. Yeah. It runs my business.
It takes the decision tree out of the effect too.
I love that decision tree thing. I never actually really heard
my health coach told me that one time.
No, I love that. So preparing Sunday night, I don't have to think about who I'm calling because all I do is turn on my CRM.
And it tells you
the names are there. It's the algorithm. I've labeled everyone in A+, A, B, C, or delete client. And it just rotates and tells me who to call.
I love it.
Yeah.
I am not surprised in the slightest that you're very successful.
Thank you.
Am I going to read a book of yours one day or a TED Talk of yours, or watch a TED Talk of yours one day? What's the subject about?
So, one of my favorite, how would you say, motivational speakers. So I'm into a lot of motivational speakers.
Yes.
I follow Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. I mean, they're both unfortunately deceased, but their books are legacies. Yes, and timeless. I do a lot of Audible. And Jim Rohn has a quote, which is part of my philosophy. I believe that everyone to be successful has to have a personal philosophy in their life. And I am going to get to that, your question, but your personal philosophy. So I read a book called Life's Greatest Lesson by Dr. Alan Hunt. And in Life's Greatest Lesson, he talks about a woman who found her purpose. And I think that's one of my greatest pieces of success that I can say was part of my highs in my life. And this was about 4 years ago, is this woman, she lived her life by an acronym, and the acronym was LEGS, L-E-G-S.
Okay.
And if you go to my office, you'll see I have LEGS written on my board, or my dream board. I have a vision board in my office, a huge vision board, because I believe that if I get up in the morning and I come to a workspace that is beautiful and that I love, then I'll have enough energy to be able to give, and
Correct.
I'll want to come here, right? So she lives by a philosophy called legs. And it was about 4 years ago when I discovered that to be truly successful, I have to develop a personal philosophy, more like a big why. Why do I get up every morning?
Yeah.
Why do we do what we do? Why do we work really hard? Why do you come here every day? It has to be more than money, and you have to be driven more than receiving a paycheck at the end of the day.
Yep.
That's just a reward, but that's not your motivator. And so my motivator, after I read the book, I actually identified with her philosophy. And so I'm mad I didn't wear the bracelet. I usually wear them, but I had bracelets commissioned that have legs written on it with stones. And so it stands for love all the people that you can every day, earn all the money that you can every day, give away as much money as you can every day, and save as much money as you can so you have more to give away.
Love it.
So I work really hard so I can love a lot of people.
In a way, that's the DNA inside you.
It's my DNA.
It's all about everybody else. You woke up one day and said, Cindy's life's about everybody else, and you'll get your life taken care of in the process.
So my TED Talk is about building a personal philosophy.
Okay.
My TED Talk is about, if you work harder on yourself,
yep,
you'll go from making a living to making a fortune. So my day carved out, once I've done my prospecting and I've made my calls and I've written my handwritten notes and all that, I have a stack of books and a stack of anything you can imagine. Where am I deficient? What do I need to work on myself?
Right.
I spent 2 years studying negotiations.
Okay.
2017 and 2016 and 2017, because 2018 I hit my huge audacious goal and I wanted to sell 18 million and I hit it.
Yep.
And so to do that, I'm like, I need to study the art of negotiation.
Yep.
And I found one book called Never Split the Difference, and I read it over and over and over for 2 years.
Yep.
It may sound crazy, but try to negotiate against me.
Yeah, right. It's the journey to mastery. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time and sharing with everybody your story and your highs and lows and all the nuggets. There are a lot of nuggets in that. Thank you very much. Have a good one.